Welcome everyone to our live stream, and I'm on Rumble as well as on YouTube. And the format, as usual, is that I talk for 30 minutes on a given topic, and then we switch to Q&A, and then we continue the topic, or we talk about anything else you want to talk about, and you don't have to feel restricted to the topic that I stated on there. So welcome, guys, and let's just make sure that we give enough time for people to come in here. So yeah, okay, I can see the comments. It's always a delay when you're doing the live stream, and I don't like to rush it because people have to come in and see the commercials. Yeah. So yeah, YouTube gets its commercials in there. So hello everyone. Hello Adam Smith. Hello Cosmic Rose. Hello Mysticulous. Hello Babs Jr. Hello everyone. So the topic tonight, and we're gonna go through it in detail, is the stuff about lists. Lists, being in a list and not being in Santa's list. I'm sure glad I'm not in China. So in China they have a more of a list. I mean, everywhere you go, the cameras are tracking you. They know what street you're walking into because there's a camera, and they're doing facial recognition, and your behavior is controlled by an app, and the list even goes into your financial side, because over there you pay by some sort of CDBC kind of currency, and everything is paid by WeChat. And if the government says you're on the bad list, if you're on the bad list, you actually lose access to your money, or you don't get to go on the train, or you don't get to watch a game, or whatever the restriction is. It's kind of that's kind of the way. So anyway, I hate being in the list. To me, I don't know. It must be because of my historical background. For some of you who don't know, when I was a kid, I lived in a dictatorship, in a country that had a dictatorship, and if you say anything against the government, you not only get put on a list, you get put in jail, and entire families can go in jail. Teachers often disappear. It's not uncommon, actually. Teachers would often disappear because they say something in class, and then somebody reports them, and then they disappear, and then they get on that list. And I actually managed to see some of these people, like 30 years later, and I found out that one particular one was hiding in the jungle somewhere. That's how basically he went from a young guy, in his 20s, and he disappears, and 20 years of his life is spent hiding in the jungle. So yeah, so that's the kind of environment that I had an experience with, and I just didn't like that to ever happen again. And this is why I'm so into privacy, because I just want to be left alone. It's not a complex demand. I just want to be left alone. Now today, because of our phones, we are in absolutely every kind of list imaginable, much more so than ever before. But back in the day, when I was just starting my career here in the U.S., the lists were credit lists. You had to behave. You had to behave at your best when it comes to credit, or otherwise you lose your credit rating, and you don't get to buy a car, and don't get to buy whatever you need to buy, and you lose your credit card. So a list is a way to enforce behavior. So we're in many lists today. In fact, if you use a phone, it's the number one list maker. And one of the lists that it does is, creates lists based on advertising. So your preferences. What do you watch on YouTube? Apparently most of you are not on the list of people who like to talk about privacy, because I don't get any viewers anymore, and likely because most of you hide from YouTube, and YouTube says, oh, nobody is really interested in this channel because it's losing subscriptions, and that's actually a list that I appreciate, but none of you, of course, will appreciate being on a list, even about being privacy conscious. Uh, Unfortunately, the internet kind of lists are very specific. We are listed everywhere, especially on Google, for behaviors. So for whatever we do, for every click we have on the internet. This is not the session to technically explain how Google Analytics works and Google IDs and all that. But yes, everything you do on the internet is in fact trackable. Uh, it's built into the system with both Facebook and Google being able to track everything you do on the internet, and for that they're able to create various kinds of lists. They can track what you click on. If you're doing something immoral, perhaps that would be obvious. What sites you visit, what your search history is, what types of apps you used, what types of apps you download. Now, here's an example of something that you don't even realize. I've told you this before, but if you download the Tor browser, you get put on a list. This is one of my tips. I always tell you, don't download the Tor browser unless you're on a VPN. Why? Because you get put on a list. Anyone who downloads that, they record the IP address and they go back to that and say, potential terrorist here because you zucking downloaded the Tor browser. Okay, that's and we're just people who want to have some privacy. We can't even do that because if you do something like you behave out of the norm, like downloading a Tor browser, you must have something to hide, and therefore we put you on a zucking list. So the idea of every move we make being tracked is really highly disgusting as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm like I feel trapped when somebody is always watching over my shoulder and see what are you looking at, what political side are you on, what exactly are you clicking on there. Well, one of the things that that has happened, actually, before I get into that, because that some of these lists have gotten so sophisticated that they've actually used it in a mercenary kind of way. They've actually said, okay, we've identified these people, what do we do? But what are these identifiers that put us on the list? Now, this is the thing, though. Simply doing something does not put you on a list. Simply doing something. So if you, let's say somebody's tracking that you go to Rumble, okay? So maybe they have some classification that says those who go to Rumble are conservative or whatever the category is, because they go watch certain channels on Rumble. So let's say that you're tracked on Rumble. The thing is, if they don't know who you are, the fact that you go to Rumble doesn't mean anything. Isn't that interesting? See, it's not just a matter of being on the list. The list is behavior plus identifier. So the question is, what is the identifier? So in your life, you have a lot of identifiers, and many of them are attached to the phone. To name you a few here, IMEI, the equipment ID of the device, the IMSI, the subscriber identity of your SIM card, the MAC address, which is on every network card. It's a unique identifier because it's unique to your computer, your Google ID, your Apple ID, your email, your IP address. All of these are examples of identifiers, of course, counting your name, your address, your location. Those are also identifiers. So the thing is that as long as there's a way to classify you with an identifier, then they're able to put you on a zucking list. So, and the interesting thing is that if you do not give them these identifiers, or if you do what I teach you, which is to withhold these identifiers, then suddenly it doesn't matter what you do. Suddenly I'm not telling you to go hide on the internet, because it doesn't matter, because even if I were in a communist country or dictatorship, if they don't know who I am, if there's a safe way to hide permanently, then it doesn't matter what I say. So the thing is that when somebody's watching and putting you on a list, you tend to watch your behavior. You tend to want to conform. Conformity is the secret to avoiding being on a list. So when somebody tells you to do X and the government says you must do X or else we're going to put you on the Zucking list, or we're going to put you on the Zucking list because you conform. That's what they did with vaccination. They put you on a list when you conformed, and if you're not on the list, then you must be a bad guy. That's the opposite way of doing this. And everything is always tied to an identity. And you can't even talk on the internet. You couldn't talk on YouTube, for example, because if you have an account here on YouTube and you talk about stuff like that, even to question people's right to question, which is, mostly what I did, it was just questioning people's ability to question and just, ask the proper stuff. The behavior was watch. Google made a list and then started blocking and basically erasing people from YouTube. Twitter created such a list as well. Facebook did as well. They all made these lists and said we're going to ban these people because we put them on a Zucking list. And it's so disturbing to me when everything you do is being used to classify you on this list. Google took it a step further. Google took it a step further. And, this is my least watched video of all time. I call it Bombshell. The title says Bombshell on it. And, 2 years later, there's still hardly any views on that, and it's very interesting because it's such an important topic, and what happened is this is the mother of all lists. So Google, as an example here, tracked behaviors. This is just one way they track. There's many ways they track, but there's one specific way, and they tracked people based on search history. This is just Google search. It's very, very narrow. This particular thing that they did was based on a specific program and was based only on search activity on Google. That's it. Search activity on Google. Well, believe it or not, this is like the amazing thing. Just based on what you search on, that's it, what you search on. They were able to classify people into categories that would shock you. How do you classify a person as a violent extremist just from search? Because search is not an action. Search is an intellectual curiosity, looking for an answer. You may want to seek answers on the opposite side because you want to understand it. So you use certain search terms. And did you know that just by putting those search terms, you get classified? And some of the classifications include calling you a violent extremist. Now, this is not unique to Google. In case you didn't know, the FBI, and maybe they use a Google list, maybe they use a Twitter list, who knows? Or maybe they used real-time surveillance. But in any case, they also made lists. Now, the specific example of list they made, in fact, was released in I believe it was a Dallas memo of from the Zucking BI that said, we are classifying these people as violent extremists, and they listed certain people with certain beliefs. The usual suspects, as they say. But and as you know, you've seen it on the news, how certain people who protested wokeness in a school, what do you call this? The school administration meetings where they call parents in and they give input to the school board, and certain people spoke out and they were very angry about what they were teaching to their kids, and they were saying, hey, FBI says, hey, we're going to classify you as a violent extremist. And just because you believe very strongly about what is being taught to your kids, you really didn't have the freedom to speak, because then they classified you. And of course, if they classify you in person, then they know who you are. They even have your photo. Okay, and you're in the news as well. So then you get classified, and you put in a list, and Lord knows what the consequences of that are for the future. When somebody even tries to give you security clearance, and they say no, you're on the sucking list. So all because you tried to express a belief when you think in what you think is a free country, and the fact of the matter, you can't actually give an opinion. And this is more true on the internet. Again, with the Google example I just gave you, Google actually classified people based on search activity, and then used their partner Moonshot CVE, which is a London-based organization, to then adjust the search results. So they target you, they target your Google ID, and then once they target you with a Google ID, they then say, okay, we're going to modify your search list, and anytime you go search for this kinds of topics, we're going to give you an alternate list of search results. And so if you're trying to get what you think is a balanced idea of what you're searching for, oftentimes you do not. In fact, many of you discover this when you search for political topics. You get different results from somebody on a different political point of view, which is kind of crazy. So it means manipulation. So you can't even search organically for any subject matter. Something always comes up that is there to counter you. And you don't realize how this little things have a certain impact, because this will make you feel frustrated, like nobody's on your side, you're the only one, therefore you ought to change your beliefs because you're different. They make you feel different, and it comes up with various search results that bias against what it is you believe, and being fed an artificial list created by Moonshot CVE. Well, that's very, very disturbing, because that's true manipulation now. And Google, when they started doing stuff like that, they took the "do not do evil" mantra from their system, from their stated mission, because of course they're so much more willing to do evil now. So it's really disturbing to me that we absolutely allow this. And in fact, many of you have friends who ask, well, why do we need to care about privacy? Why do we need to care about any of this? Because you don't want to be in a sucking list. I mean, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. You don't want to be on a list. And the people say, well, I don't care. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not a criminal. And you know what? I don't care either if you're a criminal, that I'm a criminal or not. That has nothing to do with anything. I don't feel like sharing anything because I have no reason to. Why do I need to share my belief with you? Why do I need you to identify me and put me on the list? What is my purpose in doing so? I don't just willy-nilly just give everyone rights and access to my life. I mean, I make a decision that says, okay, certain things are going to be private. Why? Because I don't have to explain why. I don't have to explain why. People think I have to explain why. If you want a criminal, I don't have to explain that. I think many of you feel that, and you don't want to explain it either. And it's like you just feel like it's none of their business. And yet, how is it that a simple search, how could you possibly do any violence when you're just doing search? They don't know what your life is. You're just doing zucking search. And yet, Google has a list with your address, and there's a map, and they can pinpoint exactly where this Google ID is on the map. And these are all the people who are anti-vaxxers, anti-Hillary, anti-incels, and whatever else category they have, made up just from the search. I don't even know if they really know if people actually belong in these categories, other than the fact they did some related search. Now, here's the problem with this, guys. This is not like a credit report. You know, credit report, somebody reports, and then you can counter the report. You can go and say, that's not true, that's incorrect. I challenge that. And the other thing that you can do with the credit report is there's a lifetime limit, for example, 3 years or 7 years for bankruptcy and so on. So if you did not pay your bill by 3 years, it'll disappear. You know, there's at least some way for you to fight back automatically just by having it be deleted. Well, there's no such rule in the internet. When Google and Apple and Facebook capture your data, they hold on to it forever. There's nothing to ever give them any reason to give that up. They have it forever. They categorize you forever. And you don't have any way of pulling back. And this is why the only way to fight back is to prevent being on the list to begin with. This is why we say we will hide our identity, because as I've explained earlier, simply by hiding your identity, the list doesn't matter, because the list needs some sort of identifier. And if they can't identify you, then of course your presence on the list makes no difference, because it can't point to you. So this is why we do things like use the Google phones, because the Google phones hide a lot of these identifiers. This is why I teach you about browser isolation. This is why I ask you to use a VPN. These are simple things. This is why I say don't use your real name, use a pseudonym, pseudo-anonymity. All of these, this is why I tell you not to put your real name in email. This is why I tell you to partition your emails. This is why I want to tell you to partition your activities, both in emails and every part of your internet presence with different identifiers. And the reason is that by doing so, you actually mitigate the ability of someone to put you on a list. So it really blocks you. It blocks you from being identified, and I have to be frank with you. When you use the Google phone, for example, and some of you go ask about what do I need to do when I have the Google phone? What special things do I have to do? And I say nothing. Just use it. And some of you are in disbelief because you said you think you have to follow, so many procedures just because because you got a Google phone. But actually, the main purpose of the Google phone is to hide identity, because the phone does not allow the IMEI to be captured by an app, the IMSI, the MAC address, the Google ID. None of that can be captured by an app running on the Google phone. It's restricted from doing that. The only entity that can actually capture all that anyway is Google, and Google doesn't exist on the phone. Therefore, no one can capture locations, identities, and so on, because they don't exist on the phone. So this is why I teach you all this, is to say, is there a way to wipe out the identity so you can not be put on the list? That is the main purpose of what I teach here. The mechanics are, I give you many mechanics. I just told you a few of them. The Google phone, VPN, browser isolation, when and where you use a Google ID, what kind of phone you use, and so on. Your email, how you partition your personal life with your business life, how you worry about your IP address at home, how locations are tracked. If you don't pay attention to how locations may be leaking from your phone on your IP address, and all of these little things that I talked to you about, which are all able to come up with an identity. So anyway, that's the main thrust of what I teach here, and I hope you understand the danger of being on a list. Some countries now promote being on a list even more, like I told you, China. So, hell, we don't want to be in that kind of society. I mean, in a in a dictatorship kind of government, they'll tell you what to do, and you have to conform. So you're just going to be like a bunch of ducking machines, and you won't get an option. So yeah, I that's not acceptable to me. That's what I teach you, that we need to be able to speak freely and give our opinions freely. And I don't care what your opinions are. I just don't want anyone to be stopped from giving an opinion. So anyway, that's our discussion for today. So next week's video will actually hit on a specific way of using the Google phones that I want to challenge you to think about, and that is, could you use a Google phone with a non-Google phone? What happens when you do that? What are the dangers? We already know, the identity issue, and any consequence of that, and is there any advantage? So that's what we'll talk about that in the next video that you're going to see next week. So before I do that, let me take a station break, and then we'll resume with your questions. So my sponsor is Linode. Now, Linode is a cloud service provider. If you ever need a server, a website, a domain, you have many choices. A lot of you go to GoDaddy or AWS, Amazon AWS, and or many other ISPs out there that provide the service. And some of you search long and hard and even go use Google. Google provides cloud service as well. Microsoft does, called Microsoft Azure. And if you use any of these, like I have, and you will discover something that's very interesting, and that is, why are they so fucking expensive? So what will happen is, if you don't have any experience with this, is these companies will charge you an arm and a leg. And I'm saying that I've been using, for example, I still use some Amazon, and I'm on Linode, and I'm looking at my Linode bill, and it's a ton more servers. I'm gonna guess, 4 or 5 times more servers on Linode than on Amazon. Yet my bill is the same. So why is that? So I mean, can you even quantify that as being half cheaper? No, it's more than half cheaper. It's way cheaper. So and it's included. Even the bandwidth is included, and you can get a server for as cheap as $5 a month. So you can even do a website for $5 a month server. So that's a pretty good deal. Now on Linode, not only do they give you these inexpensive options for servers, what I've found is that their tech support is superior. For example, if you're on AWS, who do you talk to? On Linode, it's very easy to talk to them, and they respond very quickly. And the knowledge base, because they're really experts at Linux servers, and if you're running any kind of server like WordPress servers for your website, anything Linux, these guys are so skilled at what they do that they're such good tech support. So I'm really appreciative of Akamai Linode. That's their new name, Akamai Linode. They were bought by Akamai. And all you have to do, guys, is if you are interested in this and you sign up on Linode, just use the code linode.com/Rob Braxman, and they're going to give you a $100 credit that you can use for your services that you buy for the first 2 months. So make use of it. Okay, now, by the way, some of you noticed that I reached 400,000 subscribers. Actually, I already reached 400,000 subscribers last week. Then I did a live stream, and then when I do a live stream, then I lose 30 subscribers. So, yeah, so I'll probably lose some equal number again and then go below 400,000 again. It's really frustrating. Yeah. Let me see how many I've lost. I've lost 4 so far. So, in the last few minutes, I already lost 4 subscribers. So, it's very, very frustrating. So, yeah. So I don't, I don't have, like, I'm not having a 400,000 subscriber party because it might go below 400,000. When it's 400,000, 40. If it's 401,000, then maybe I can celebrate. But right now I can't. It'll probably go back down. So, yeah. So I don't know why, but this is not just with me. Anyone who does a live stream loses anywhere from 30 to 50 subscribers every time you do a live stream. It's very discouraging to some because they feel like, why do a live stream when all you do is lose subscribers. Actually, that's not the purpose of the live stream. I mean, the live stream isn't here to get me more viewers or more subscribers. The live stream is for me to interact with you so you can tell me what you're thinking. So, Akamai is their Akami, it's Akamai. Akamai is their new name. I hope they aren't appropriating the Hawaiian language. I didn't know Akamai was Hawaiian, but you don't know what Akamai is? I mean, Akamai is big tech. Akamai, of course, is one of the early big tech companies on the internet. Everyone from Microsoft to Yahoo to, I don't know if Google used them, but they do CDNs. Basically, if they run a big website, the website isn't actually running on Microsoft.com. It's actually running on Akamai. So they provide the infrastructure for like large scale distribution of media. That's what Akamai does. So because of that, they have tons of servers, and that's what Akamai does. And so they bought Linode because they're in the cloud server business, but they're not in that kind of business, but now they are. So they bought Linode, and hopefully Linode will expand because of it. I'm actually looking forward to that. They announced that they're going to open up more data centers in more countries, which I will appreciate. What's the best phone to buy? So the best phone to buy, Nancy, is the Google phone, and I have many in the store. The only phones I have in stock are Google Pixels. I have many very nice model Google Pixels, like Pixel 6As, which are so reasonably priced. Like do I have a Pixel? Here's one here. This is a Pixel 6, I believe. This is the Pixel 6, and this is one of the more expensive ones. I think this is 600 something. And then we have the Pixel 6As, which are only 420. I mean, that's pretty reasonable. These are very nice looking phones. So, yeah. They're in the store. They're de-Googled. We pre-install Calyx OS on them because we found in recent time that it's probably the more user-friendly one of all the ones that we have used in the past. So we have made that choice mainly because of ease of use. It has the same benefits. It automatically puts F-Droid, Aurora Store, Micro-G, and all that. But the advantage is that the OS is much easier to use. So yeah, that's what you need. Is it difficult to learn a Google phone? There's not much to learn. It's just an Android. So I have many videos on this, and you should watch all the videos regarding the Google phones, because this is important to understand. The Google phone operates just like a regular Android. So this is a Google Pixel with a different OS. So the only difference is there's no Google on it. So just to give you a sense of what actually happens when you have a Google phone, you can use it normally. Things that you normally do will work. There are exceptions, and that exception is that 10% of the apps won't work. 10%. It's probably good to know what those 10% of apps are that don't work. And I'll tell you right now that most of the apps that you use will work. And believe it or not, even things like Instagram will work, TikTok will work, Snapchat will work, Spotify, Prime Video, Amazon, Yelp, banking. I mean, most things do work. What doesn't work? Well, what doesn't work is anything Google. There is no Google. There is no Google Maps. There's no Google Drive. There's no Google anything. There's no Google Mail. There's no Gmail. No Google Play Store. You have to use a substitute store. Okay? But, you can use the usual messaging, texting, SMS, phone. Everything is like a normal phone. Looks like a normal Android. So, yeah, you function well in normal life. Now, if you're one of those, young people that are dependent on it for everything in your life, that you can't live without something else that you need in social life, and you're really, really dependent on your phone for every single possible app, and you want 100% apps. No, the Google phone will not provide you 100%. But on the other hand, you're gaining such privacy because you disappear from the big tech eyesight. So you can do whatever you want to do, and you don't have to feel like somebody's watching you, because they don't watch the Google phones. Even if this is a Google Pixel, because we changed the OS on it, they can't watch. Okay, so I see that the signal dropped. So let's just wait for it to catch up here. Seems to be back. It dropped just for a few seconds. Okay, so yeah. So it dropped for a few seconds, but looks steady right now. So just a quick event there. So anyway, the when you use the Google phone, and at one point I was selling the Brax 2 phone, this one here, but I don't have any more. So this is no longer in stock. So we have a bunch of Pixels. We have Pixel 6, Pixel 6a, Pixel 5, Pixel 4a, and some other ones, but mostly those. And fortunately, they're very nice phones, and they're all in mint condition. They're all in mint condition. So we only sell mint condition phones, and because we have to warrant them for 30 days. So we have to make sure that they actually work. Even my banking app works fine on my Brax 2 phone. Well, my banking app works on my phone too. So yeah, it depends on the bank. There's actually I was using a banking app, and it did not work for a while on a Brax 2 phone, and now it works. So they changed it, and maybe they got some feedback from customers, and customers didn't like the fact that they locked out certain phones for no reason. So yeah, it works fine. I can use banking apps on my phone. So the only thing that is really a problem nowadays, as far as aside from Google apps, because you can't use Google Apps or Gmail or any of that, but you can use it on the browser. So it's not really a dead end. I mean, you can use go to Gmail on a browser. You can go to use Google Maps on a browser. I mean, you can use things on a browser, just that you can't use it on an app. You can use Google Earth on a browser. So things do work. I mean, they're just less convenient because they're not an app. But there are a couple of things that don't work on the Google phone at all, and they've made it even more so that it doesn't work even on a browser, and that's Uber and Lyft. So Uber and Lyft do not work on the Google phone anymore, even on a browser, because the option was to use Uber and Lyft on a browser, and you could do that before, but they stopped it recently. I still put Lineage and Calyx on our Pixels, but we've decided that we get less tech support on Calyx. So that's kind of an indicator. Why do you get less tech support? Maybe because there's less issues with it. So yeah, we get less issues with Calyx OS. So. And they're good team. They only work on Pixels though. Calyx does not work with the same kind of range because Lineage OS works with Motorola's and Oppo's and OnePlus and a bunch of other models. Calyx doesn't do that. Calyx only works with Pixels, but it works very well with Pixels. And if you do a reset, they automatically bring in all the usual things that you need to use the Google phone properly, like F-Droid, Micro-G, all of that. So yeah, so they're for that reason I prefer using Calyx OS nowadays. Nothing wrong with Lineage. Lineage is a good option, but one of the problems is updating it. Lineage doesn't allow you to update, let's say, from Android 10 to Android 11, whereas Calyx does. So their update process with Lineage is not the best, and that's probably number one. That's the number one problem because you have to return the phone to us. We got to do it for you. You can't do it by yourself. Is there a way to connect a monitor, mouse, and keyboard? Maybe, but not for any practical purpose. It's not a Linux phone. For example, a Linux phone, you can connect, a mouse, keyboard, and actually use it like a normal Linux. But this is Android, so no. I mean, it's made for finger touch screens. It doesn't work too well with a mouse. Why not? Why 30 days guarantee? That's not long for a phone. Because the phones are used. They're not. We're not the manufacturer. We can't guarantee the phones because we didn't make them. They're made by Google. So we offer them to you. We take the responsibility for them for 30 days as we put the app on them, and we have to buy them used because you can't install. You can't sell them brand new with the Google. You got to buy them used. So yeah, so they're used phones. So now the Google 6As and the Google Pixel 6 are new models. They're 2023, so they're really brand new models. The Pixel 5 is a year old. The Pixel 4a is a year old. I do not have experience with Sailfish personally because Sailfish is not available in the US. And it puts Linux and then you run Android over Linux. It's still not the smoothest. So the smoothest experience is definitely using a standard de-Googled OS. There's no doubt. I mean, at some point, one of these operating systems like Ubuntu Touch or any of the like Manjaro or any of these Linux things will work on a Linux phone. May someday perform. At the moment, I can't tell you to use them because then you'll just get mad at me and return them. because they're not really ready for prime time yet. So they're made more for developers. People are willing to take a risk and do that kind of stuff. But for normal people who are not techie, no, I wouldn't suggest them. You really should get the Google phone. Okay. What did the Mysticulous say? Googling is not an app. Googling takes the phone down to a foundation level and installs a different OS. Yeah, so the Google phone this is the term we use. It's actually what happens is to de-Google a phone, we install AOSP, Android Open Source Project. Now we don't actually put just the raw AOSP on it. We modify AOSP, make it pretty, and put some different apps in there, and different companies do different things. But on the base kind of program, it's AOSP. So the Google phone means it's AOSP is the name of the OS, Android Open Source Project. Even Google phones are based on AOSP, except they overlay stuff to change AOSP. So the standard Android that you see if you buy a Samsung is AOSP+++. The +++ is the spyware. So this is AOSP without the +++. So before the spyware is added. This is what technology we have come up with in recent years, where we found a solution is to eliminate the +++. And then suddenly you're free because none of the spyware is on there. So I'm telling you, there's no mystery here. When you get a Google phone, one of the things that you ought to realize, and some of you don't realize this, is that iPhones are bad. iPhones are bad. One of the things you realize when you use the Google phone is that you never put in any kind of ID. There is no Apple ID. There is no Google ID. There is nothing ID. That alone should tell you there's something different. I never identified the phone in any way. There is nothing on the phone that connects the phone to a third-party entity. The phone doesn't report to Google. The phone doesn't report to Apple. It's not an Apple phone. It doesn't report to anyone. Your standard phone is reporting every second, millisecond, to Google, to Apple, depending if it's an iPhone. So if you want to have your phone report everything you're doing at every moment, then stick to what you're using right now. If you don't want to be put on the list, then you should really think about getting a Google phone. And it's really a pleasant experience for the most part. I mean, especially if you get one of these nicer phones. I mean, they're very nice. They function normally. That you can take photos, you can do texting, and normal stuff you do on a phone you can do, as long as it doesn't involve Google. So you use the international version for the Google phones? No, there is no international version of Pixels. All Pixels work everywhere. There's only one version of Pixels, and they all work anywhere. So some of you will say, can I use it internationally? Yeah. If it's a Pixel, you're set. Can I use it with Verizon? Yes. Pixels do not have a limitation. Some of the other phones we sell, like the Brax phones, we have a U.S. version. We have an international version, or we had, and it doesn't work with Verizon. So there's always some limitation. Well, the Pixels don't. So, and they're more high end. I mean, they are more expensive. Okay, so Pixels are more expensive because we're selling them used. So they're even used. They're at same or equal price to the Brax too. So the Google phones using AOSP have RCS text message abilities. Well, that's part of whatever the messaging system uses, which is standard. So I don't know if they've switched the standard SMS to RCS. I don't know. If it is, and it will all switch because it's part of AOSP. No, this is expensive. Yeah, this is Pixel 6. So this is more upscale model. Although it looks almost exactly like the Pixel 6a, which is $200 cheaper, $250 cheaper. It looks exactly the same. It's just a little bigger. The 6a is smaller. So this is actually somebody else's. Well, no, this phone is not working. We got to return this phone. So yeah, that's why it's here. That's why I have it here. It's not working. So Brax 3 phone is dual SIM. Yeah, just like Brax 2. So yeah, I can't really tell you much about Brax 3 because I don't know what the timing is because of the software and the IMEI issues and all that. It's not really just getting the phone. There's making sure that the OS is complete, the IMEI issues resolved or addressed, the frequencies available, resolved, and addressed. So there's a few other things. I don't know if DoorDash works. Somebody can respond because I don't use DoorDash. I think I use DoorDash on. I don't personally use DoorDash, but I think people use it on a computer. So you can use many of them on a computer, including Uber Eats and all that, but you can't use it to get a ride. So, yeah. So, Crime Stoppers. I don't like to talk about that particular OS because it's made up of really, really bad people. I don't even need to care about what the OS does. If I have to deal with bad people, then I don't want to do it. Okay, there are things that I don't even want to discuss it. Just know that there's a reason I don't discuss certain OSs, and normally because I don't want to associate myself with bad people. If any of you are on Brax.me, you know that I'm attacked regularly and hacked and whatever else they want to do by people from that community, and they attack me everywhere. And they're crazy, and they do crazy things, and go talk to Louis Rossman, who supported them, and then turned out that he got screwed by that. He arranged for them to get funding, and then he got screwed. So yeah, no, I do not recommend it. Not the community you want. It's not just the software. I don't necessarily think there's something super duper about that particular OS that makes it advantageous. For example, compared to Brax OS, we have programmers doing Brax OS, and we're able to do the same things. But it's not that even. I mean, I support. For example, I have a good relationship with EOS. So if you are in Europe and you want to use EOS from the E Foundation, I think what's the name of the company? Morena. Nice people. I don't have any problem with EOS. They're nice people. Maybe I'll sell some of their products in my store. They're good people. They have the same desires, and they're not trying to cheat and manipulate and do things that some of the other people do. So nice people. So if you want to buy EOS and you don't want to buy from me, that's fine. I want to encourage the community to kind of get together and help each other. So EOS is one. If you're unfortunately, I've been supporting Ubuntu Touch, but we don't have any hardware that works in the U.S. now with Ubuntu Touch. So I'm left with no option. And even the guys from Ubuntu Touch, they know I can't use anything because we don't use 3G phones here anymore. So yeah. So anyway, if there's some other OSs that I've seen that are de-googled, and I just saw the signal drop there, but hopefully it's recovering now. Hold on. It's a little shaky. A little shaky there. Okay, it looks like it's stabilized. So yeah. So I'm not pushing anything specifically as far as what OS you want to use. As far as I'm concerned, you use whatever you want, and it's fine with me. It all does the same stuff. If it's de-googled, it's gonna do de-googling things. It's based on AOSP. It might be prettier. It might might do some extra little trick in here that some don't. I'm not on Starlink at this moment, but as you know, I have Starlink. So anyway, so in fact, if you ask us, if you get a phone from us and say, "Hey, I don't want Calyx. Can you install something else?" Yeah, we'll do it. We'll install anything for you, anything you want. So, and we do that. So there's just a delay, obviously. If you ask for something and we don't have stock of it, then of course we have to make stock for it. But by default, we install Calyx OS on every Pixel nowadays. So just by default. It's a good group. I like them, and it's a good community. It's not just one person. It's a community of people that really support the OS, and that's what I like. Some of the other ones are supported only by one person. Okay, what happened to the new internet envisioned by the inventor of the internet? Well, they envisioned the tracking, so it's all tracking. Okay, let me just read the comments here on Rumble, because the comments on Rumble aren't showing up on my screen here. American Legend said he doesn't trust Amazon AWS. I don't really need to trust Amazon AWS. When I run a server on Amazon AWS, I encrypt it. I control the server. I can do whatever I want. I encrypt the server, and it's like I double encrypt. So even when I'm sending traffic, even using TLS with an Amazon server, I encrypt over that. So double encryption. That's, for example, that's what BraxMe does. That's why BraxMe is sometimes slow, because of too much encryption like that. Because I don't want somebody to take the data on an Amazon server. So if somebody steals the server, let's say, from Amazon, it's encrypted. And encrypted beyond the normal encryption of Amazon's encryption, I encrypt it. So I don't have to. I don't have to make my moves based on trust. So, however, you don't need to trust a cloud service provider, because that's not what you're there for. You're there to rent their servers, and like any other cloud service provider, you're actually renting a virtual machine. So you have your own virtual machine. You can do whatever you want with that virtual machine. You can put your own password in. You can encrypt it, and it operates just like any other virtual machine. So you are able to do your own security things on it if you wish, including encrypting. So that's just standard Linux stuff. So you don't have to trust anyone in particular. Okay, so yeah, so Amazon offers an infrastructure. It's not something that you trust or distrust. It's just an infrastructure, and that's what they sell is infrastructure. Amazon is root on your server. You're running a virtual machine. You are root to your virtual machine. You can change the password. You can't. This is just average everyday Linux stuff. You can change what root can do, which I do. So I make an image of a server. I modify it. I change whatever I need to change, and then I create an image of it, and I repeat that over and over by restoring that image that I want. And then it's based on my specs, not the specs of Amazon or Linode or anybody else. Okay, let me go back to Rumble here for more comments. Yeah. So anyway, American Legend is just asking about the way you configure these cloud services. Yeah, it's up to you. You set up the infrastructure you want. If you are aware of how to do that, then you can do anything you want. So most of my servers are on Linode. There are still some services I gotta use on Amazon, so I can't just go leave Amazon. For example, notification services on the app that are run on Amazon, SMS. There's some services that are email, some services that only Amazon provides for me, so they're not services offered by Linode, so I got to use them, like RDS, the databases. They have managed databases, so I don't have to manage them. So that's in a large operation, you gotta use these time-saving things, and so that's one of the reasons I still am stuck with using some parts of AWS, but most of our stuff is not on AWS anymore. Very little is, but still the cost is very high. Okay, hold on. Let me go back to Rumble here. Now, I haven't really. I'm a little bit disappointed with my relationship with Rumble lately, because the only thing they've been promoting is the live stream. If it's not a live stream, they don't even. They used to put it on the top of the list, and now if it's not a live stream, they don't even pay attention to it. It doesn't show up on their list. So. And I don't, the person I used to talk to is not there. And to be honest with you, I'm very busy, and if they don't support me, then I tend to lose interest. And so, so that's why I've lost interest in Rumble, because they've lost interest in supporting me. So, yeah. Odysee is having its own problems. As you know, library, the company is being shut down. So what's going to happen to LBC and all that, and basically whatever LBC I have is worthless now. Though it used to be worth something, and now it's worth nothing. And Odysee traffic is lower than it was. So that's kind of frustrating. So as you know, I'm also on X. So I've been posting the entire videos on X. So if you're on X, you can watch the videos fully on X. So if you follow me on X, you'll see the same content, not the live stream. I don't post the live streams on there. So no, I don't have any link tree, but it's on YouTube. It shows the links to the social media sites. But I mean, it's easy. It's Rob Braxman everywhere. So Rob Braxman on YouTube, Rob Braxman on Rumble, Rob Braxman on Odysee, Rob Braxman Tech on X. So there. So yeah. So you can follow me on any of those, or you should follow me on all of them. Thoughts of Kick. I don't know what Kick is. So yeah. I don't. The thing about the X though is that I don't interact in an X kind of a way. X is about making short comments and doing that all day, and it's not what I do. So it's hard to get the kind of attention that fits the X kind of social media style. It's not the style that I use. I post entire videos. I post long videos. I don't have short videos, and short videos is probably more fitting for Twitter. Sorry, X. So anyway, yeah. So that's a limitation. The style of content I do is long form, and yeah. What is this? Lots of digital disruptions. I only saw 2 brief disruptions so far. So are there more disruptions that I'm not seeing here? Okay, because I'm not noticing any other disturbances here other than what I already reported before. Okay, so any update on the Brax to SAF problem? Now, what is an SAF problem? Are you talking about virtual storage framework? Is that what that is? Somebody reported to me that somehow, some apps like Signal can't use the storage access framework or virtual file storage, but it works on international. So I don't know what that means or what changed. So anyway, I asked the text a question so they can research it for me, because I thought that was an old issue. But yeah, there's some issue with the support for virtual file system. So it's a Android virtual file system. So an app can do the physical file system, where it can do a file picker and go directly to the folders, or it can use a virtual file system. And for some reason, it's having a problem on some models, apparently not all models, with the virtual file system. Anyway, don't exactly know. So we'll find out. Maybe in the past they've used exclusively in the past. I'm lying. I don't know what Theolux is speaking of, but okay. Wasn't that the platform with JSON RPC native bugs that built in browser isolation? Okay, they're talking about some other platform. I don't know what that is. Okay, so let me go to Rumble here. You're talking about some new platform again? Okay, I can't keep track of every. I try to limit my social media, as you guys know. I don't go on every platform. So, some of you may be on Brighteon.com. I just got interviewed by Brighteon.com, which is another platform. So, don't know when that interview is coming out, but that's another area that I apparently, if you search me there, I come up. I don't know why. So thank you. We need critical thinking. Wow, that's nice name. Critical thinking. In fact, I just used that I just used that in the video. I said we need critical thinking here. Yeah, I am not on Truth Social now. Let's see. I'm trying to combine the chats here, but they're not combining on one because they're supposed to combine so that I see both Rumble and YouTube on the chat, but I'm not seeing that. Yeah, I got interviewed by the Brighteon founder Mike Adams, and that video is gonna, if it's not come out yet, it will come out soon. So that's something new. Using restroom chat. What the heck does that mean? Restroom chat. Anyway, I'm using Restream.io. You must be talking about Restream. Yeah. And Restream is not combining the chat. So I was just hoping that all I have to do is read Restream and then I can see everything. And now I have to look at two screens for chat messages. And it's very hard to do that because the other one is far away. Yeah. Yeah, so I am using Restream. And there are some technical issues when you use Restream. Example, when the stream drops, it creates a new video. So that's kind of irritating. Anyway, I just want to also, again, repeat that I have twice now reached 400,000 and twice now gone below 400,000. And when I do a live stream, the number of subscribers drops again. So let's see if my numbers have dropped again so far. No, it hasn't dropped. Went up by 1. So so it hasn't dropped yet, but wouldn't surprise me if it dropped below 400,000. It's really frustrating because many of you don't subscribe to me because of privacy reasons. Many of you say, okay, I'm not going to subscribe. I'm going to use NewPipe. I'm going to go watch, in an unsubscribed way. And then you forget about me and you stop watching. So whether you subscribe or not, don't forget to watch. I mean, the scheduling is very fixed. I release a video every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time in the U.S., and that's always been the case. And I released a video on Odysee slightly before that. I released a video on X also before that. Rumble shows up midday, I think, on Wednesday. So, and nobody watches the Rumble video unless it's a live stream. So on Rumble, people only watch it on Thursdays. They're not watching the regular video on Wednesdays, and it's very frustrating because I'm like appearing to YouTube as having uninterested viewers. So please watch the videos. Please hit like. Please hit well, if you don't want to hit subscribe, don't hit subscribe. But please interact with the videos and give comments and all that so that Google sees you're still alive and you're still interested in the topic, because otherwise they'll cancel me. Because that's what they're doing. They're saying, oh, nobody's interested, because it's privacy, so nobody wants to be noticed, and instead Google decides, it's not an interesting topic anymore, so we'll just drop it. So 007, thank you for watching in any platform. I appreciate it. Okay, Rand. See you later, Rand. We're all on the list. So, yeah. Maybe see you on Braxme. So, yeah. So Braxme, of course, is social media platform. It's where the store is. It's where we interact. It's where you can ask questions when there's no. It's kind of like a group area where everyone around here can meet up and discuss and debate and introduce different kinds of issues outside of what I talk about in a live stream, or I mean in a video. And it's a chance for you to interact. And the thing about Braxme is it doesn't require an identity. So some of you are reluctant to sign up to Braxme because you think, oh, another social media app is going to ask me a lot of questions. It actually doesn't. It doesn't require anything. It doesn't even require email. The only thing it asks you to do is assign yourself a username and a password. That's it. Assign yourself a username and password. That's about all you have to do on Braxme. So, yeah, and then many of you get a little bit too eager to be invisible, so you have names like user, unknown, stuff like that. It's like, come on, guys. I mean, you don't have to be that invisible. Call yourself, Metal Master, Swimmer 101, something that's unique. Come on, guys. We need to be able to identify who you are when we're talking, so we know who we're, because some of you are using, unknown user. Everybody calls themselves the unknown user, so you're one of 1,000 people with the same name. So maybe do a new video on cooking on your boat. I haven't really cooked much on my boat. So anyway, yeah, just don't be afraid to go to Braxme. It's not scary. There's no privacy issues there. We don't really know who you are. It doesn't even track your IP address, which some trolls take advantage of because they say, oh, we can go troll everybody on Braxme because there's no restrictions. So yeah, personally, I do like Rumble. Sorry that as easy to use. If you like Rumble, then you should use Rumble. There's no problem with that. I mean, I am on Rumble. But Rumble is not Braxme. Braxme is not the same thing as Rumble. Braxme is to meet all these people here. There are 90-some thousand of you on Braxme. So I presume most of those are subscribers. So it's the same people you see here, but there's a good number of you on Braxme. So there are Braxme is very unassuming. It doesn't ask for much of anything, and yeah. So you're never forced to identify yourself. Person unknown. Okay. What about the apps? Are you talking about on a phone? So I don't know what you're asking there, Nancy. If you're talking about the Google phone, is that what you're asking? I just followed on Twitter. I don't see you in my feeds on Twitter at all. Well, I mean, I got to post something to show up in your feeds, right? So, yeah, I mean, you can look at my profile. I haven't posted since this morning or yesterday. Well, I guess I posted a few things today. Duplicate usernames are allowed on Braxme, but each person must have a unique username. At username, right? So Right. How many subscribers do you have on Odysee? Odysee, I don't know anymore. 85,000, I think. I think 85,000 maybe. But, many of those people seem to have disappeared. So, yeah. So, I have 35,000 on Rumble, I think. Not sure. Last checked. I have 10.5 thousand on X. And of course, we're at 400,000 here on YouTube as of this moment, but wouldn't surprise me if we dropped below 400 after the live stream. It's just what happens. Okay, so guessing my comments are blocked. Who knows? Hey Woody, you do me. What you do me? What? Okay. I'm not techie. I had a friend de-Google phone for me, but it is a Google Pixel 3. Can this be de-Googled? Yeah, Google Pixel 3s can be de-Googled. Now they're getting old in the tooth, so you may have to make sure that you are prepared to change the battery on a Google Pixel 3. They're still good phones. They're just mostly getting old, so the battery may be aging, and so you may need to change the batteries on them at some point. The batteries are typically have a lifespan of 3 to 5 years, and most Pixel 3s are obviously over that. So they're likely at the if it's a light user, they're probably getting close to dying on the battery side there. So yes, just be prepared. If the battery dies, you bring it to a shop and have them change the battery. Just don't be shocked it's going to happen. It likely will happen. Now this is Pixel 6, which is a brand new model. This is a brand new battery. So this has a life of 3 to 5 years with this battery. I have 84K on Odysee. Okay, you verified? Yeah, I thought it was somewhere around there. I said 85. Because it's probably 84 plus. No, do your apps can use the same password on the apps on the Google? Can you use the same password on apps on the Google phone? Yeah, of course. So you just need to buy a new battery if you need to. Yeah. Well, you don't buy a battery, you have somebody replace it. Jay, don't give me congratulations because it might go down below 400 tomorrow. So we'll wait for a while. Do you have a video on how to travel with your phone without being tracked? If you have a de-Google phone, you're not being tracked. But my next video is specifically about traveling with my phone. That's next week's video. In fact, that's what I did. I traveled. And I had a particular experience with that traveling that I wanted to impart to you. And that was in that next week's video. Okay, so just so you know, watch out for that. And it is about, certain limitations of phones and what you do when, what I did when I traveled. It may be something you might do too, but maybe not. It's just giving you a heads up that is what the topic is. It basically what happens is I discuss topics based on what you ask. So if you're discussing things here in chat, and it gives me an idea, and then I make a video about it. And somebody asked these questions probably in the last couple of weeks, and so I put it on my to-do list to make a video about it, and then I did, and so now that answers that question. Okay, I actually signed into ZocBook on my new PC without using protection. That's not a problem. You clear cookies and don't sign into ZocBook ever again. Clear cookies. That's all you have to do. Did modem still live outside the OS? Are you talking about the phone? Well, the modem is outside the OS. It has its own OS. So the modem has RTOS. The app processor has Android. They're two different OSs. That's always been the case, and that's true even of an iPhone. Google no longer provides updates for the Pixel 3, so future security could be an issue. You know, Bruce Lee, I mean, honestly, if there's been a major security breach that we need to be aware of that requires that kind of update, I haven't seen it yet. So, there's been minor things, but for normal people, I haven't seen anything particularly major that requires us to worry about that. So if you already have the phone, I'm still using Pixel 3s. There are still Pixel 3s here. And although I'm now experiencing battery problems with them. So, yeah. Pixel 3s are at the bottom end of, the phones that you can use. That is probably the lowest model that you can use with VoLTE in the US. And it works fine. So the issue is more about the battery. The OS maker is able to make changes to AOSP if there's something really serious that requires an update in that. But I haven't seen one in the last few years that require that kind of attention. Okay. So with the Google phone and open source apps and common sense, you're good forever in terms of security. Yeah, I mean, security is often an issue when you're a target. So average people don't typically have to worry about that. I mean, you're not exactly important enough to target unless you're in a position of power in government and the press or something. I can be a target because obviously I'm here on social media, but I don't let's not overreact. It's not something that you really need to get overly concerned about for average everyday use. So, and you can always update the phone, obviously. I mean, you don't need to stick to an old phone. Okay, so thank you for watching, guys. And again, the topic next week will be about something interesting about when I traveled. And that was a consequence of traveling, is making that video. So, good to see you again, my friends. And I'll see you again next week. And watch for next week's video.